I'm sorry, the colors are cobalt blue.
I'm gonna use cobalt blue, Nicolazo yellow, and pyro red, but any blue, red, and yellow.
Okay.
And then for the first one, and then for the second one, we try and use different colors. And we'll see how they play with each other and how they impact the final result. So, you there. A little bit of blue. And it's gonna be, I'm not remembering to go for these other paints. Let's see where we at. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit of blue, and I'm also gonna mix up some greens here. Nice. And some of these are Nicolazo yellow. And cobalt blue.
Are you using a flat brush or a pointed brush?
I'm going to use one of each. So I have my blue for the sky ready to go, and I could have done this either way, but I just went and use this brush for the blue, but so that I don't have to clean it and reload it before I change colors. I'm just going to use a different brush for the greens. And this one's just a small, relatively small synthetic skirt of pearl. But we have a fair amount of greens, but I also want some variations. So I want to make, it's a little harder to see on the side. But I'm going to have a kind of a warm side and cool side to my yellows. And then while I'm painting it, I may vary some of these as well. I can add a little bit of pyro red. And it's going to knock the chroma down a little bit, neutralize it, and make it a little bit darker. So I feel like I've got a nice warm and a cooler green there. So I'll start with that, and then I'll worry about the darks after the fact. But I kind of had I have my roadmap here. And the other nice thing, I'm working on a 9x12 or 9.5 by 12.5 size page here. But that 3x4 works really nicely to do side by side. And an advantage to that is if you have like the workshop or the barn where you like it or where you want it in your composition, it's easy to transfer it over to the side by side or top to bottom because everything's going to line up. So it's easier to keep things positioned where you want them as you move from sketch to sketch and then into your color studies. And I'm going to leave the blue for the cobalt. Straight cobalt, not neutralizing it at all. And I'm going to go right through the tree. Move that there. I'll richen it up. Make it a little darker at the top. And I'm just kind of rolling the brush in there, just add some variation, give a little bit of light cloud effect. And then while that's wet and I have my brush, I'm going to use I'll use the lighter first, starting this side. And I'm trying to remember, I want to save the white strip here where the driveway is. And then there's another little white strip that's going to be above that driveway that's going to go all the way across. And it's going to blend into that side there. So I'm just keeping those in mind as I'm doing this. And I want these darker green trees in the background. And you can kind of paint around the trunk. And almost lost it. There. And what I'm going to do too is this tree in the foreground that's much larger. I'm going to come in after the fact and probably lift a little bit out of this just to allow for some variation in that tree. I'm just kind of varying this little bit of warmer yellow. And again, there's that roof that I want to keep a little highlight on, so I'm just being careful of that. And then also the front posts of this roof. Random edge there. And I'm gonna yellow that up. Warmth, let's bring it forward. Have a little bit of the darker green here. Yeah. Red. Put some of the darker foreground, a little detail here and there. Keeps that a little darker in the foreground, pushes your eyes up into the scene. And I'm gonna go again with the yellowish color, which is this tree here. Keep that nice and bright. May end up with a balloon here, we'll see what happens. Very light. Just trying to spritz this a little bit. I think I'm gonna grab just a new brush, damp but mostly dry. I'm gonna try and give myself a little bit of lifting here.
This is so the light tree can kind of stand in front of the darker trees.
Exactly, it was easier just to paint this all in one shape and then come back in and lift. I could have painted around it some, but I don't mind soft edges in here. It just kind of adds to the feeling of it being a tree with a bunch of small leaves. And then same on this side, we'll lighten that up a little bit, but it's gonna be a little darker at the bottom than it will be at the top anyway, just because of the shading. Roll. Fingers there. So just that little darker green on my brush. And I'm just gonna strategically place it to try and add some variation here in the screens. And if I do things like adding a darker green here, it'll make that brighter. And the same thing here, if I add dark. So, get a nice dark green. And the base of some of these, just drop in darker color. Kind of losing those edges there, but I'll show you a trick here. So these are very dark. Little. I can come back and kind of play with some edges, soften those a little bit. Soften that one. Lift a little there. What I'll try and do is I'm gonna use a little palette knife. It's gonna be a little hard to control on a size this small, but I want to lift or scrape a little bit out there. And I think I timed it wrong. Yeah. Too soon, it happens. We can come back and fix that. So what I have here is I have a white stripe, still the building is white, and a little white stripe there, which are the harder, the more difficult whites I wanted to save. I'm gonna come in now and I'll paint the side of the barn and the front edge of it. And for that, I'm gonna use all the colors. Because I need a neutral. So let's see what we get. If it's a little too green, neutralize with red. Not too warm. A little bit of blue. And it's interesting because it's not really giving me a neutral gray, it's giving me a warm or even a greenish gray.
Maybe more blue.
Yeah, a little more blue is going to add. I'm going to go a little more blue and red here. And I can tell I have too much red. So this time I'll start with the blue, add the red, which gives me a little bit of a purple, and we'll see what just a little bit of this does. Yeah, the nickel laser yellow is so strong. And when you put way too much blue in it, you get way too much blue. So let's try again here. The amount of paint that I'm taking out of my palette is negligible.
Yeah.
I no longer worry about wasting a couple pennies of paint to try and get what I want. So I'm looking at a little bit of green. Which means I need to go purple. There we go. There it is. I found the neutral. I knew it was there somewhere. So let's see. I'm gonna leave the roof as the whitest part. I'll come in this side. And I know I always tell you to hold your brush back here. But when you're working on a small painting and you have details, obviously go ahead and, what do they call it in baseball, choking up on the bat, I think it's just whatever you need to do to give yourself the control you need at this smaller size. Yeah. Then I'm going to connect this shadow, right? And then from there, I'll go right into this truck. So the front grill's there, and the windshield is also dark. Back wheel, front wheel, shadow, side window. And I'm gonna put the shadow of these trees in here. Oh. Trying to soften that shadow. Again, we're not spending a ton of time on these, but at this stage, we want to work on our edges. So I like the soft edges in the trees, hard edges around the focal point. And then I'll come in with a little bit of a lighter gray and just bring the light in. Kind of lost the light there, but I'll try and scratch that out as well. And the roof is not white, it's just a lighter value. So I'm gonna put a little bit of a light gray in. And so you can see how different we're already getting from one to the other. And so this to me feels more like it's closer to fall. Definitely spring or summer. So you can kind of see just using the colors, how they can impact the overall feel of the painting. Now let's see if I can get a nice thick dark out of this. And that's a little on the cool side, but it is dark. And so what I'll try and do here is looking to see if I'm going to totally lose these darks when I put them in. I think it's dry enough. I put a shadow there, shadow there, a window, and there's a shadow on the front. And I'm just going to go. A little too much. Soften it a little bit. I'll dark right under the roof there. And this is still pretty wet. Still giving me a nice soft edge. Dark. Still leaning towards the green a little bit, but as long as it's dark, these darks are going in the trees, so a little tint towards green. And so I'm looking at my sketches here. I softened the tree details here, but you can kind of see a little bit of definition in this front tree. And we'll see if it totally fuzzes out or not. Not too bad. And then just kind of skipping through. And I'm just going to take some paint off the brush. Giving it a tree shape. I didn't put the trunk in on this one here. What we're going to try and see. Again, this is just a tool we're using to test for larger paintings. There's a damp brush. come in and soften some of these outer edges. Dab here and there to kind of knock them down a little bit. Reinforce some of the shadows. But I feel like this, I think one thing I might do is add a little darker piece in the foreground there. Maybe some dry brush. Which is just gonna,
You don't know why you did that?
I think so. Like I said before, it's when you put a dark area in the foreground, it just pushes your eyes up into the scene a little bit. But what it's also gonna do is give me, when I go darker here, it's gonna make that look a little brighter.
Right.
Which I think is a nice effect. But I feel like, I don't know how many minutes that was, but I feel like that is representative of what I would be looking for in a values in a color study. But again, you can kind of see just using different colors how different the painting can look. It can totally change the time of year, time of day, you name it. So I think with that, I'll leave this open so you can see that, and let you all start doing some sketching and some painting. And if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and let me know. And give me a second and I'll spotlight you so we can see and hear you. I'll tell you what, I think what we'll do is it's about 25 after. Let's go until 6. We'll go until 6:40. So about 15, 20 minutes or so. And then we'll take a break from the painting and I'll show you how crazy you can go with painting things in multiple times in different colors. I have some examples, not my own necessarily. Someone I'm guessing everybody's heard of. Well, everybody's sketching. And keep in mind, we just need representative sketches here, just quick enough to give us kind of the outlines that we need to save whites and whatnot. The rest of it, like these trees in the background, can just be almost whatever. And that's. Looks like me.
Because we were trying to get all the peer.
Yeah, keep in mind, just work loose and.
Yeah.
Keep the brush on the side.
They want the blue chair.
Okay.
Some want the blue chair, some want the tan chair. You just want chairs. And these are actually the best because they're wider,
That's what we put to dry.
they're strong.
Yeah, any of that will very quickly. But yeah, if you want to work it around and go lighter shade. Then you can $90.
But
Yeah, you need to get a video like that, you can do it, or if there's going to dry, you can crazy with it. Sometimes else you can rush through that. Yeah, but you can just. Almost. Erase it. Bit of a lot of. Unless you're using a same color.
Yeah, I am just trying to steer it in there.
So these exercises, then it goes to slide, and then you're gonna get in with some values in the comments. Just kind of give more weight. You know, with the- Okay, you don't see it, so.
A little this, a little that, I don't know. Really not that. I'll pay attention, I just sort of like, whatever's there, I just kind of add, I don't know, it just,
There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't pay attention.
Everybody feel it's.
Kind of a,
Yeah, that's.
little yellow, little green, little blue, little whatever.
And that's how it works with watercolors.
Yeah,
It's a very reactive and two-sided medium.
yeah,
Because you can start to paint, you can have all the thought in the world behind it, start to paint, and then you're reacting. It's doing what it wants, and
yeah,
it's kind of a give and take. That's just a.
I'm just
the nature of
more
it.
focused on, not even so much the color, but, I guess the values more, like, where the highlights, things like that. It's
Gotcha.
more, not much of that.
Do you have a, give me It's not sure the plan, it's pretty dark.
Oh,
It'll
that's
show you-
helpful.
Yeah, just kind of.
This is a little small.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, down there.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, that's a lot.
And that white stripe.
Yeah. That's a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, go on that, if you want to use that.
Okay, thank you.
What do you think? Variations of movement,
Yeah, Nicholas.
It really is, isn't it? Yeah.
I figured. If one of them is, I'm not sure which pigment it is that pushes. It has a more, I'm not sure.
Okay. I noticed that, yeah, just like first purchase now.
Yeah.
Is anybody else using Nicolaizo yellow?
No, no, not that.
Okay. Bruce and I were talking about how much of a pushing color it is. So if you put a little bit of blue in your palette, a nice puddle, and then put Nicolaizo yellow in it, you'll see that yellow just push the blue out of the way.
Oh, really?
It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's really strong.
Yeah, that's the only drawback I have with that. It makes nice greens, really.
Yeah, it does give you a nice variety of greens. But yeah, it's a powerful color. Give it a sketch.
Then we gotta sketch it all over again, right? And paint it.
You can sketch it again if you want, or just go right into the value of the color study, absolutely. Whatever you feel like you need to do to get the results that you want. But yeah, the goal of these is to keep them small and quick, so that we get halfway through going to realize it isn't gonna give you what you want. You just go to the next. Okay, what size tab is that? Is that perfectly by eight? Okay. All right, yeah, it's a great size.
I like little things, some, yes.
Yeah, it's a good size to take for, going outside to sketch or
Yeah.
paint. That's perfect. try and show what Bruce and I were talking about with the pushing colors. So if I have a part of the blue, and I get some Nicolazo yellow and put it in there, you can see how it just makes its own way and pushes the blue aside. So
Mhm.
it'll mix a beautiful green, but it's a powerful color. And it just yeah, kind of takes over when you mix it in, but it does give you a nice variety of greens.
Devin, when you paint with it, does it push the blue out of the way on the paper too?
No, not too much. I mean, if you have a puddle or if you've got an area of your painting that's wet and in green or blue, and then you put Nicolazo yellow in, it'll push
Okay.
paint. But when you're mixing with it, once it's mixed, it's kind of incorporated and it's not really going to push too much.
Okay.
But it's still, even though because it's in the mix, it still can go in to a wet part of your painting, it can still push. It would just be reduced because it's mixed in with other colors, but it can still do the same thing. But it'll be much less.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's not a color I use very often, but as soon as I mixed into the palette tonight, I saw it pushing that blue out of the way. It just reminded me of how much it does it. We're about 20 of. What I'll do is I was just gonna really quickly drop some darks in there. Finish that part. So what I'll do real quick is I'll share my iPad screen here and show you all examples of how far some people go with color studies. All right, let's see. All right. All right, can everyone see that?
Well, no. Mm-mm. Where? Oh,
Do you see all the different
Yeah.
haystacks?
yeah.
So these are Monet's haystacks,
Mm.
and he's famous for painting a lot of haystacks. But you can tell just even in almost any of these examples, the different feel each one of these has. Some are in snow, some are a very light snow, some are spring, summer, night, day. But that is an example of learning and studying your subject. And he did that a lot. And there's another example. I believe it's called the Rouen Cathedral. Rouen. Nice French name, but just to give you an idea, they're all the same paintings, same subject, just painted different colors, trying to get a different effect, different time of day. And you can see just how many times he's done that. And of course, Monet's pretty famous, so it must have worked well for him. But yeah, I thought it was interesting to see all of them kind of next to each other. And I know that's a little blurry, but you still get the idea of All the variations. And we're back. Go back to that. So I'm curious, the people online, did anybody learn anything by trying different colors? Do you have any surprises?
So I haven't tried with color yet. I've just been sort of the value sketch first.
Mhm.
Which I'll have you know that truck is giving me
Yeah.
trouble.
The truck is
I'm with you.
complicated. It's in the photo, it's kind of at a 3/4 view. It's not side on or front on.
Yeah.
Kind of done my sketches. I've tried to keep it as a 3/4 view. But it can really be, I mean, there's not much going on there.
Right.
See, or in any of these really. But I've just basically kind of spotted the windshield, the side window, the wheels, the front grille, and the shadow. And that's really
Yeah.
all it was. But I can totally appreciate saying
Yeah.
it's a tricky little shape, no doubt about it. It can help if you visualize just doing a rectangle. So if you just have a rectangle, and then if you put another side on it, or a front, headlights and a grille, wheel wells, little wheels in the back on the other side of the car, almost a square for the windshield or the side window, a little triangle window in the front windshield, maybe a little highlight on the top. But for quick sketches, I mean, that's really kind of
Yeah, that helps. Yep.
so doing the boxes like that can be helpful. No,
Yeah.
but really
Yeah.
all I'm doing is I'm just going with dark window, dark windshield that I'm pretty much letting run right into the trees in the background. It's like a lost edge there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the front end, just going dark because the light's coming from that direction. Maybe a little less extreme. But anyway, the front's gonna be shaded and then underneath the wheels are. But the dark spots are really the only thing I'm really paying attention to.
Yeah. That makes sense. Thanks.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you. So you can see I did another kind of a palette mud color study. I just had I don't know what it was, an indigo maybe mixed with something else that was in my palette. So I used that for the sky. Some of the same greens that I used in this one neutralized a little more. Instead of the gray barn, I added kind of a warm, rusty red color. Still need to go a little darker in the foreground, perhaps there. And I'm just using literally just palette mud. I just need a dark, little something of all this.
Devin, I have another question for you.
Sure.
So I noticed that even in painting these really tiny pictures, you're using a pretty large brush. And I know that you said you choked up on the brush to get more control. Do you ever, like, why choose the big brush choked up as opposed to a smaller brush on a small painting like this?
Mostly for me, for practice, I always try and stick with the bigger brush. A lot of it is that even if I'm doing just a small sky like this, if I'm using, I don't know if you saw me when I was painting this one, I used this brush instead of this one.
Oh, no, I didn't notice that. Okay.
So while I was painting this one, I would run out of paint. I'd start here and run out of paint by here.
Okay.
Reload it, finish that off, reload. So just using a bigger brush, you don't have to reload as often, but it will also, part of the beauty of watercolor is having a wet mixture on your paper that when you put another color next to it, you get that lost or soft edge that just kind of blend together a little bit. So the bigger brush kind of keeps the color, the paint that you put on your paper wetter for longer than using a small brush, especially a synthetic. This one's a blend,
Right.
but yeah, this one holds more than this one.
Okay.
More water, more pigment. This one is really good for just putting down thicker pigment.
Oh, right, because it's synthetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really just so that it's using a bigger brush is always nice because it's going to hold more paint and water and it'll let you paint for longer without reloading. But it also gives you more flexibility in your timing of your painting to play with those edges.
Okay.
There's an artist. I believe he's Spanish, and his name is Eudes Correa, and he does portraits. But he paints. I put puddles in my palette and then put paint on my paper. He puts puddles on his paper, and sometimes he'll even take a tube of paint and just smear it on the paper and then put water on it and just let it do what it does. And I'll make a note to send some of his work out in an email too. It is unbelievable the results that he get, but it's his quality of edge control is incredible, really. He paints so wet, and yet he manages to keep colors separate when he wants to, and only in the later stage of the painting does he have any hard edges. So I think it'll be dry for the most part, and then he'll go in and do hard edges. But it's just impressive. It's really impressive. But it's an idea. It's an example of having a puddle on your paper, or a really wet mixture on your paper that allows you to play with it longer, manipulate it more. But that's basically it. But yeah, great question. Yeah. Oh. So this is what yeah. Some people are doing puddles. So this is, and it's up there for like that. It's all right. If the recording is working. The video. Yeah, I just did more value studies. What do we want to use? I made these for just a 3x4 square that are great for tracing for this value studies and color studies, but also for painting, sketching. They're great for viewfinder. So you can take that, but they also work well because you can trace these squares. And that way it's the same dimensions, the same ratios of it's 3 by 4, so 6 by 8, 4 by 16, 4 by 18, 24 by 8. They're all the same proportions, which are standard size. I'll send that. Yep, absolutely. And there's some other links I'll send, and I've mentioned a couple of artists that I'll put links to as well. That'll be a good summary for you. But absolutely. Sure. It could be helpful too, just to make sure when you're doing these color studies, just make a note of the colors that you're using, so you can go back and compare later. Label this one palette red. Yeah, I just started doing a value study, like a 3 by 4 size, and then into a color study. Which is what I'm working on now, if you want to watch. I don't know if you can see on the. See which ones. Sure. So basically what we're doing is just doing different color studies that you can see. I did this one yesterday. Use the colors I normally use, which are very neutral, but if I use different colors here, you can just see how different of a feel you get. It's just a matter of experimenting until you can see how it changes the feel, the time of year, time of day. What I was showing. So these are. So it's an example of Monet doing Rouen cathedral, and he paints it over and over and over and over and over again, and gets a different lighting effect, different time of day. And it just changes the mood, it changes the feel. So this is just a quick, small study, spending maybe 15 minutes, but just experimenting with different colors to try and see how they change the overall feel of the painting. And then these are just, again, keeping it small and quick, so we're not spending a ton of time on these, but they're just they're not mini paintings, they're just a tool that we're using to improve problem solve each step of the way. You can kind of figure out, if you have a composition problem, figure that out in your sketches. Then you work on your color, you work on the colors, But it's just kind of a step by step into eliminating problems and answering questions, so that when you're getting into your final painting, all those problems are done. You've already nailed them, they're all done. You've solved them all. And then it's just a matter of transferring the 3x4 size of whatever. So what we've been talking about too is that, miniature painting is a popular thing, it's kind of gaining more popularity lately, but it's, so you may decide that this is the size you want a painting to be, but it can still be the same thing. You don't need to spend study part of it. Once you know what colors you want to use, then you sit down and put a lot into the finished version. But these are just quick. So one example. Yep. I'm just trying a different color blue. I'm using palette work for some of this stuff. Yeah, of course. So I just mixed up. So this one I used vertical blue, cobalt turquoise, yellow purple. And then the darks, I used ultramarine and burnt sienna, and a little burnt sienna and warm up some of the trees, but the darks are basically those two colors. And I just used 3 colors in this one. I used cobalt blue, nickel laser yellow, which is really bright yellow, and then Cairo red. So just the 2 colors. Painted that one. So this is all cobalt blue. Yep. And so you can kind of see it's even though it's a light version of cobalt blue, it's a different blue than that. And I think this is ultramarine. So you can see it's a little maybe a later time of day or a different season. Just how these different colors kind of give the feeling of a time of year or a time of day. But the other thing that's good about these color studies is, and I'm just trying to save it in white. You can start to practice with edges. I was telling Melissa that on this truck, the windshield is just a dark spot. But I'll just let that dark spot just blend right into the background. So it's kind of a lost edge. Some of the shadows here are just going to fade out, but the soft edges of the trees I really like. So I'm trying to paint that wet and wet. But yeah, it's just another way of experimenting with different things and kind of figuring out what you will to have in the final painting.
So we have something that you're using.
I'm just using this one. It holds the right amount of paint and water for this size. And then when I get into more details, I'll use something with more paint. I mean, this theoretically could use this for all of it because it has 2 points. But just so I can kind of go back and forth and without cleaning it every time. So what I'm looking at here is I've got the blue background, just the background trees, large foreground tree, another tree here, and bringing some warmth in the bottom part here because that's the furthest closest to us in the painting. And so I'm just practicing this one, and actually probably not the best first for it. It's a bit small for them, but straight across, and I'm going to connect that in there. Leaving a little highlight that goes right through the painting. You can see it in all these. I'll just bring that down, and then I want to darken it by foreground like I did in this. Is at the end of it. Just a little dark on the foreground, push around the zoom. I know the background trees are dark, so I want these to be kind of lighter and warmer. Again, bringing them forward a little bit. Just quick and loose, rough tree shape. Yeah, it's a little bit related. What I'm trying to do is keep some darks around the focal point because that's going to be light. So I want to keep that separate. And I went ahead and in the photo, there's a tractor parked in. But I liked being able to see straight through. And the tractor kind of blocked all of it. So I took the tractor out. But those are the types of things we can put it in one, take it out of another, and see how it works. Make them cool gray. Well, building. The shadow under the building. Wait, I'll wait till it's dry.
So you're not gonna look at that white,
No, it's a little bit darker here, and I can move a little bit. But once I put the darks in the rest of the barn,
yeah.
it'll make that pop a little more. And so I'll just use neutral to make it easy to get it dark. But I don't want it so dark, so I'm going to. Think about saving that highlight. It does. It's all relative. So you can do the same thing with warm and cool colors. You can have a warm yellow, but if you put a warmer color next to it, but it's just interesting how it's all relative like that. And then I'll shadow over it. And then the truck is just front wheel, back wheel, the wheels on the other side, the front grill, side window, and the front windshield. And then a shadow. But that's, looking at that, it's kind of hard to tell maybe it's a truck, but for me, I know that's the truck.
This is starting to listen to Christmas music.
Ah.
It's not bad, it's just disconcerting. I think they're just trying to.
Yeah, the sketching I actually did at home. And I did two of them. I just did the one sketch. Yeah, starting with the sketch, just because it'll help you familiarize. And I typically work side by side. I don't usually do so many of these on the same page. But I noticed that it's helpful because I know that I like the position and the size of that I'm seeing. And so when I do another one next to it, I can just transfer those ones right over. If I'm working on below it, I can just transfer them straight down. So it's easier to see and carry from one to the next. No, of course. People are watching. Oh, it's okay. In here, I can actually. It's easy.
When you do that for YouTube, will it have all this in it?
Well,
What you
this
did?
one, I've got the recording going on Zoom.
Okay,
So if I can, I should be able to save it to my
okay,
computer and then upload it to YouTube. So it'll
Okay.
be the same way.
okay.
Yeah, and so if I do that, I'll send the link out to everybody. Yep.
So when you do that, you really just put in those darks.
Exactly, because it's a white truck, so, you know, it pops. But I did this, because Melissa pointed out that it's a difficult, there we go. It's tricky to paint because it's not just a side view or front on, it's kind of a 3/4 view. So I just did, an example, so if you draw like a rectangle. You have a little rectangle for the front end. Reveal it's on the other side. A little side window. I usually put a little something on the top, so I can keep that highlight. Just a little roof, and then I'll do the same thing there and there. But that's really what I need. And then a shadow to connect those. Yes. And in the picture, like I said, the light is kind of coming from the back of the truck, so the front's in shadow. These are all in shadow. And I use that as an opportunity to just let that edge disappear. So it flows right into the background. You can do the same thing with the front end. But it's where I have a position on the driveway, it doesn't work necessarily, but I have a shadow under the tree that I was able to connect to, and then connect it right into the dark side one. Yeah, it's a good trick for drawing cars and trucks that aren't straight or side on. Everything we'll do here is, greenish color. Tree. Here. It's kind of tricky. But just light on branch shapes. Very light. And so standing back, I think I've got a light tree in the foreground, another one there. Save my whites, lighter roof there and there. Shadow in the front of the building, and underneath. A little darker in the foreground to push the line in. Got some loose edges going on there. Bird holes for the sky holes, whatever. But yeah, just different, different take. You see. Did you get the email with the reference photo in it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great.
Just the pencils. What are soluble pencils?
About 5 minutes left. How's everyone doing? I see a thumbs up. I like it.
Hey, you can get some dry brush effects.
Yeah.
Then when it's dry-
Anybody want to show what they've worked on?
I could.
Excellent. Let me,
Yeah.
That would, yeah.
So I can.
there we go. You are spotlighted.
Okay. I have my value studies up the top.
Very nice.
Pencil and then Payne's gray.
Okay, yeah. Perfect.
And then the two color studies seems kind of washed out. So let's see if I can remember. The top one is cobalt blue and cadmium red
Mhm.
and aureolin cobalt yellow
Okay,
one. And then the bottom one is French ultramarine for the blue and new gamboge for the yellow and alizarin crimson for the red.
very nice.
Yeah, nice job.
Yeah, those are great. Nice shadows on the front of the building and under the roof there. Gives nice definition, brings it forward. Well done.
Thanks. I just realized I forgot my shadow at the bottom of I was waiting for it to dry a little bit, but.
Oh, yeah. No, I did the same thing. I lost it in a couple of mine. I had to go back over a few times. So just, yeah, timing, letting it dry enough.
Yeah, yeah. And then the truck is just kind of got a little bit comical over there, but you know.
It's all right. And the only thing I would say on the truck is just add a shadow underneath, kind of connecting all the wheels. And that would ground it a little
Oh,
bit,
yeah.
but other than that, I mean, it reads as a truck to me. It's the right size and shape.
Yeah, shadow
So-
underneath the truck's really important.
Yeah, yeah. The shadow is, an important part to just make it look like it's sitting on the ground, but yeah, I mean, for a color study too, it doesn't need to be perfect, so that's great.
Mhm.
And what do you feel about the two different color palettes? Is there one you prefer?
Yeah.
Do you get a different feeling from one versus the other?
Yeah, I think I prefer the top one with the cobalt blue. I like the greens that I got with that, although this was kind of I I think the new gamboge maybe helped give that kind of olivey green, which was kind of neat. Oh, I thought it was interesting that in the bottom one, I probably could have worked on it more, but I feel like I've noticed this in the past too, that it's hard to get a dark green with, um, with French ultramarine as the blue. I feel like it just wants to be blue looking rather than dark green.
Gotcha. Yeah, ultramarine blue is a powerful color too for blue. Typically reds and oranges and yellows are I would say the most intense. But yeah, ultramarine blue, I think because it's got a little bit of red in it, usually like maybe might have alizarin crimson in it. Bruce, do you know? Is it alizarin crimson that's in ultramarine blue?
No.
But there's a red in it, right?
It's the grind that will separate ultramarine blue from French ultramarine.
Okay,
It's the size of the grind. There may be something else in additives, but it's not another pigment, it's the same pigment.
okay, gotcha. Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
So yeah, it makes it an interesting color.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that. It's like as it dries, it's granular looking and
Mm.
it's I don't dislike it. It's just interesting and it comes across blue after it dries more than a dark green, but
Yeah.
yeah, and it was fun to play with the two different reds.
Very cool. Yeah, the other thing the ultramarine do can cool off your greens, which will push them further back in your painting.
Oh,
And if you add like a red or a yellow, it'll warm them up and bring them forward. But
right.
I used to use ultramarine blue a lot, and I still do for my darks. But yeah, it's a good color to use for greens, especially when you want to cool them off and push them back, which is interesting because ultramarine blue is kind of a warmer blue, right? But I've noticed with greens, I feel like it gives them the right temperature to push them back a little bit.
Yeah.
Weird thing, but
I think that new gamboge is really cool too. I don't think
yeah,
I've played that with that color.
I don't have that one either, but I like it.
Yeah.
It's a nice warm.
Yeah.
warm- yeah.
Yeah, I
Cool.
like it too. Maybe next I'll do cobalt blue and new gamboge.
There.
Let's see how they play together. Yeah, absolutely.
This time I did three and then three totally different ones. It would be fun to, just change one at a time.
Some overlap.
Yeah.
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 Yep. Very cool. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing that.
Thank you.
Hmm?
Very cool.
Might be worth a half minute or something.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, the reason I'm really showing this is the one on the right is water soluble pencil. So I put the pencil down and then I took a brush with water in it and kind of moved it around. So
Nice.
very interesting. You can dry brush
Mm.
with that if you're
Mhm.
kind of careful.
Mhm.
I thought it was a fun thing to try and do.
I like the too. I did the same.
Yeah.
On this one here.
Right.
And what I noticed was even though I had the same values in both drawings,
Mhm.
as soon as I got this wet.
Yeah.
It got so dark,
Yes,
which is helpful.
sure.
For these
because you want
studies.
The range. right?
Absolutely.
Bruce,
Okay.
did you, when you drew that with the pencil, did you draw it just lightly or did you normal or heavy?
Oh, I actually used a regular pencil to sketch it quickly,
Okay.
very lightly.
Okay,
And then any of the pencil lines that were left in there, I just used the water soluble pencil over top of it,
okay.
all in one.
Cool, thank you.
So the graphic pencils are like a different medium? I mean, they-
Well,
Mhm.
So, oh, welcome to try. Put a few lines down someplace.
So I'll leave you all to continue painting on your own, but thanks for joining tonight.
Thanks, Devin. That
everybody.
was awesome.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We're seeing y'all in
you.
2 weeks. We'll keep
Thank you.
stepping these up. But yeah, I'm excited about what I'm seeing y'all do. So this is great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, all.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
listening. Great to see y'all. Have a great night. And like I said, I'll send an email out in another couple days at the latest with some links and some other fun stuff in it. And hopefully we'll have that video for you as well. But yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you.